So I thought done, not perfect would be the best thing for us tonight. And I am going to be going through a few things that I feel like would be really relevant and helpful for us all. And I hope that you will benefit from it. I'm going to try to keep it to, about 30 minutes, hopefully 40 minutes. And if you have questions, I will do my best to answer them. It will be after the broadcast. So first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Kat. I am a pediatric and prenatal chiropractor. I'm actually board certified in pediatric and prenatal chiropractic. There are a variety of different ways to get some certifications and additional education, but I have some fancy letters after my name, DACCP. So it's kind of one of the highest levels you can actually achieve in like postdoctorate work for chiropractic in the prenatal and pediatric realm. And I've been a chiropractor for 20 years. I'm a mom to 2 boys. I'm also board certified in functional medicine through the Institute for Functional Medicine. And that kind of gives me a unique lens. I have the been there, done that experience and the educated experience. Personally, I'm an autoimmune sufferer myself. I actually don't feel like I suffer that much, but I do have autoimmune conditions and Lyme and a few other things that I've managed very well with using my background in chiropractic, functional medicine, and also biohacking, which we'll be talking about a little bit tonight. So first and foremost, that's what I wanted to say. The other thing is I am in a mentorship program where actually my mentor created a certificate program in optimal neurodevelopment. And we are always talking about how to make the brain work the best way possible. So I'm particularly passionate about the brain, especially the pediatric brains. I have a 9 and a just turned 7-year-old. One will be going to school alive in person, God willing. The other one will after October 9th, but he will be virtual prior to that. Too much to get into as to why it worked out that way for us. But let me know below which way you're schooling, cyber, virtual, in person, or at home, homeschooling, whatever type of schooling or unschooling that you'll be doing, I'd love to know. And whether or not it's your first year doing homeschooling, et cetera, I'd love to know that. I feel that the information I'll share with you is relevant for both categories, either way. And what I wanted to do first, and I hope that it works with the audio. If it doesn't, maybe people could just tell me no audio. I'm going to share a little whiteboard wisdom. It's about a 5-minute clip, 4.5-minute clip that explains a little bit more about how our brain works and why everything that's happening right now and the information we're receiving is setting us off. And so I'm really hopeful that I can share this for you guys. Share screen, share computer sound, fingers crossed. And I'm going to open this. Can everybody see my screen? Let's see. Full screen. Let's see. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm going to play this video, and if somebody can either text me or let me know that they are able to see this, and then tell me if you can hear it. So here we go. It's a little whiteboard wisdom. I'm super, super visual, so I think this will be great for you guys. And this is courtesy of my colleague, Dr. Monica Berger.
Stress, anxiety, fear. All of these emotions trigger a response in your brain. That response is what we call the fight or flight response. You see, when something happens to you and your senses perceive it as a threat, they send signals to your brain, which then tells your body to either fight that threat to make it go away, or to flee and get away as fast as possible. And the part of your brain that holds the fight or flight response is called the limbic system. Now, a healthy brain can turn off the limbic system once that threat is gone. But what happens if your brain isn't able to receive the signals that the threat is gone? Or if your brain can't distinguish if the threat is real or not? That's when you get stuck in a constant state of fight or flight. Have you ever felt like you are always stuck in an aggressive fight mode? Even just the tiniest things that you know really shouldn't make you so upset. Or what about being stuck in a mode where you can't face any uncomfortable situation without wanting to run away and hide? What if we told you there is a way for your brain to shut off the limbic system, a way to shut off that constant fight or flight response, and a way to start feeling more in control of your life? You see, our brains are made up of a complex web of interacting regions, and some areas of the brain are controlled or regulated by others. Take the limbic system, for example. The limbic system is part of a chain reaction consisting of the frontal lobe and the cerebellum. The cerebellum can put the brakes on the frontal lobe, and the frontal lobe can put the brakes on the limbic system. And each of these areas of the brain needs to be healthy in order to communicate and keep other areas in check. So, what makes healthy brain communication? Well, let's start from the outside in and the bottom up. With your senses. Your senses are responsible for how well you react to your environment. And they're also responsible for how your body and brain evaluate fear. You see, you have 5 senses that come from the outside world: vision, auditory, touch, taste, and smell. But you also have 3 senses that come from your internal world, your body. Those are called the vestibular, proprioceptive, and interoceptive sensory systems. And each of these sensory systems sends messages to your brain. Your brain then interprets and integrates all of the information. If the proper information is sent and your brain can properly interpret it, then you can respond in the appropriate manner. How do these messages get sent? Well, various sensory information is sent to the brain from the small joints of the vertebral column and the surrounding muscles. This requires that the joints of the spine are moving properly. So, if your cerebellum can't get the proper signals from the spine and muscles, it can't work at 100%, and therefore, it can't regulate the frontal lobe. And then the frontal lobe can't work at 100% because it isn't being regulated by the cerebellum properly. And if the frontal lobe can't regulate the limbic system, then you are stuck in an out-of-control, constant fight or flight mode. So, a big key to putting the brakes on the limbic system is proper sensory input to the brain from the body. This is why chiropractic care is so important. Chiropractic care can help keep the joints and muscles of the spine healthy so that they can keep sending the proper sensory messages to the brain. The more you understand chiropractic care, the more you will see that a healthy spine is the answer to a healthy mind, which is also the answer to a healthy and peaceful life.
Okay, so while that talked about chiropractic, I hope that it helped to educate you if you didn't know about those regions of the brain. And I would say that a lot of us are in flight or fight, or something called freeze and dissociate. And if you know, and then the other side of our body is kind of like rest and digest. And this all happens through the vagus nerve. If you've heard of the vagus nerve, or you know that you're often in freeze or flight or fight or dissociate, comment below with that, whichever one that you feel like you're in. Freeze and dissociate is a like yellow zone. It's kind of like your body's on caution mode. And I feel like we're all in caution mode right now with COVID caution and fear fatigue, if you will. And when we use technology or we have poor posture, or if you can imagine, we're not getting oxygen to our brains, either from a perceived point of view with our masking, creating some anxiety for people, or actually the material maybe isn't breathable. We're basically turning on that fear mongerer inside each one of us. So I wanted to let you know that that is one of the coolest videos that I've seen. And another thing I'm going to include for you guys, and I'm very hopeful that I can show it to you also. I'm going to share the screen again and see if I can find it. If I cannot, you'll forgive me, I know, is this. So I will actually download this and put this into the group. It's concerns of the COVID classroom. And it's a little bit about, it's kind of an article, magazine style, about how it's going to affect us in the classroom with COVID-19, and just some facts as well as some research and things to be concerned about. And I'm going to go into a little bit more detail right now about what some of the concerns are for in-person, and some of the concerns for virtual, or at least how we're handling it, because we have one child doing each. And I am really, really, really not enthused about either situation. But like for right now, I'm just leaning into the fact that, we have paid for our private schools, and this is the situation that we have. And so I'm going to create also 2 lists so that you can have access to them. I didn't have them ready in time for today, forgive me, but I will put them into this page so that you can access them. Maybe we can do like a little COVID classroom or COVID schooling unit for you. And I will include that handout. And then I'll also create a kind of biohacking for back to school in person, and biohacking for back to school virtually. If you're homeschooling and you don't use a lot of technology, which is great. If you're not, this may not fully apply to you, but perhaps just boosting the immune system and keeping your body functioning optimally will be relevant. So if I think it would probably be appropriate to write down whether or not, so I will go back and we'll see who has written, if they're going to be in person or not. But I think if that's helpful for you, let me know if that would be helpful for you. Just say yes, that would be easy, right? Yes, or a thumbs up that would be helpful for me to provide a list for each of you. And I can give you what we use in our house and our favorites. Does that sound good? All right, hopefully that sounds good. So first, I'm going to start with explaining what biohacking is, if you don't know what it is. Biohacking is basically taking advantage of your biology, hacking it, but not like in a weird science fiction way, but in a way that optimizes your function. Chiropractic is one of my family's biohacks, obviously. Another thing that we do is we are gluten-free and dairy-free. That's not necessarily appropriate for everybody. Not everybody necessarily needs to do that, but we could all stand to use more or eat more real food and eat far, far less processed foods, sugary foods, no sodas and things like that. So first I'm going to discuss that, and basically biohacking can be done in a variety of different ways. There's biohacking, habits and lifestyle. There's biohacking with wearable devices. For instance, like a Fitbit would technically be a biohack, so you can see how much you sleep and things like that. And another form of biohacking is using a science called nutrigenomics, and that's using how nutrition affects your gene expression. We've probably heard somewhere, you are what you eat. You kind of are, but you also are what you can process, but that's another topic for another day. We are definitely products of what our body's digestion is doing, and if we're putting bad in, you're going to get bad out. And I think we all kind of know that we should be eating a lot more dark leafy greens, etc. But in case you don't know that, you should. So let's see. I'm going to go through some of the nutrigenomics and supplements that we use in my family. I will specify when it's something that our group is specifically affiliated with, so that you know to reach back to the person who introduced you to this wellness evolution community, as we encourage you to not use Amazon, and support your local and friends who are entrepreneurs, and get your biohacking products from them and from a credible source. So first and foremost, in person, we're going to be talking about the fact that likely you're going to be wearing masks. I really encourage washing them every day. So I would have enough for your child to have quite a selection. Make sure that they have a good fit, but also make sure that it's a material that isn't going to irritate their face. Of course, anything that's on for a really long period of time will lend itself to facial irritations, but making sure what the products that you're using to clean your masks in. We use Rocking Green, and they have an athletic performance one, and we use a couple of other totally clean detergents. I'm not affiliated with any detergent company, but if you know of a detergent that you like, please make sure you're not, I wouldn't put something on my face that has Tide, and then when you sweat, you're inhaling those chemicals. So I like a reusable cloth mask that is breathable and has a nice material and is organic, basically, if possible, and washed in non-toxic cleaners. Another thing to be concerned with in person is the fact that there will be the use of toxic cleaners. I think it is very important to have a conversation with your local schools and determine what products they will be using. So many things have been banned recently through the FDA, and they don't even ban as much stuff as I would like them to ban, but they have banned quite a few things. And so not every hand sanitizer, et cetera, is created equally. I'm not even sure yet if the one that I have in my purse is created equally, but I'm going to show you it. I have a little EO organic hand sanitizer with some lavender. There are probably many companies that make reputable little ones that you can put in your bag or backpack. In fact, if somebody ever wants me to hand sanitize when I'm walking in somewhere, I'll just decline because, and I'll use my own because I don't know where their stuff is from. So I don't actually encourage the frequent use of hand sanitizer. We're going to be destroying our microbiomes, which is the very important microbes that make up who we are. I mean, viruses are even a part of that, but again, another topic for another day. So I would actually recommend that you just do frequent hand washing. So that's soap and water, way better than a hand sanitizer. Other things for in-person, we are looking at backpacks and, all the fashion rage right now. A lot of people have fanny packs. And I know there's a nice one through Lululemon. This was gifted to me, and it's not Lululemon, but it looks like it. And this is a Defender Shield one. It's actually an EMF blocking fanny pack. And so they're available, Defender Shield. I do not have, by the way, any affiliation with any of the products aside from the biohacking essentials that I'll tell you about. This right here has been awesome because I go on a daily walk and I feel confident putting my phone with its radiation diffusing case inside here with my wired earbuds in my ears. And so fashionable and radiation blocking. So that's kind of cool. Another thing to be thinking about would be making sure that if you're packing lunches, that you're packing fat, fiber, and protein at each meal, low sugar, please. And I would recommend chiropractic care, obviously, because, the immune system is controlled by the nervous system. And geez, even just the clenching and grinding and things that we're doing to kind of squint or hear. I don't know about you, but I don't hear as well with the mask on, even though it's not covering my ears. For some reason, I think it's because I'm not getting to see someone's lips move. So I think that it's, you know, we're changing our postures, we're squinting, we're doing all sorts of things. I realize that's something that happens in your mid 40s, maybe not something as a teenager or a school age child, but I think there's a big change in posture, and then their backpacks, et cetera, they're carrying loads of stuff, and now they're going to have additional crud in their backpacks to make sure that they're safe and sanitized and all that stuff. So keep that in mind, that one of the most frequent reasons for ER visits in the school age child is actually for back injuries due to backpacks. So no more than 10 to 15% of their body weight. And then lastly, I will talk about some of the supplements that I would do. And I have them over here on the table next to me, so I'm going to be reaching over. The first thing is zinc. You can do a zinc taste test. It's kind of nasty, but this is called Zinc Drink. There's a lot of companies out there. You basically put a little bit in the teaspoon. I'm going to put it in a cap, and then you put it in your mouth. Nope, not all of it went in. And then you swallow it or you spit it out. If if there's no taste at all, you are wickedly deficient. So that is a kind of like, I call it, you know, the poor man's way of figuring out whether or not you have a zinc deficiency. So Zinc Drink, this one's through Metagenics. There are a couple of companies out there that have some good zinc ones. I would say that, like, you can look up the recommended amounts daily, but zinc is a very important part of our immune system, and the foods that zinc are in, I promise you, most kids are not eating, and our soil's very depleted. So we're zinc deficient, and that affects thyroid function, that affects stress, that affects everything. And our ability to make our mitochondria and have energy and just focus and concentrate, brain fog, all that related to zinc deficiency. In a classroom, I think they're going to be outside a lot, but whether you're in a classroom or you're outside, when we start spending more time inside, and this will be appropriate for homeschools as well, is we're going to need some vitamin D. I like the drops. This is a company called Thorne, and they have K2 in it. My kids have plenty of sunshine during the summer. They are out every single day, and they also take an omega that has vitamin D in it, and I'll occasionally give them a couple extra drops. If you're feeling immune suppressed, you want to add some extra ones. And for adults, you know, you could do like 10,000 IUs. Again, please get with your individual practitioner. I'm not making any like claims here or whatever. A lot of this information is very available online, even Google. And but this is a really nice brand. There are some vegan and vegetarian brands out there, but just keep in mind that vitamin D is best absorbed with K2, and it should be vitamin D3. Thorne is one of the brands that I like a lot. Another thing for in-person, for seasonal support, sometimes we use this in the spring only, sometimes we use it in the spring and the fall. This is called D-Hist Junior. It has like stinging nettles, it has some vitamin C, it has bromelain, which is good for just like reducing inflammation. There's quercetin, which is really popular right now. It's an antioxidant that helps dry you up. And N-acetylcysteine, which is a precursor to one of our most important antioxidants out there. Before I knew about biohacking more, I used this kind of exclusively to get me through sinus seasons, which I don't like have anymore. And there are a few other things. You want to make sure that you're getting dark leafy greens. And then I'm going to talk about, you could use some vitamin C if there's a lot of time on screens or a lot of cleaning chemicals to kind of detox. And then some magnesium. Sometimes people like it like a gummy. Sometimes people like it like a pill, like a Magzyme. Sometimes people do it in an electrolyte powder. There's a variety of different kinds, like optimal electrolytes. There are a variety of different ways to get electrolytes, et cetera. So I think our kids are going to be spending a lot more time outside, at least initially, and I think they'll get dehydrated. So make sure there's a lot of water consumption. And then my favorite biohacks for my kids take these every day, 4 or 5 years now, every day. As of when my youngest was 4, he was able to swallow, so we didn't have to crush it anymore. But we take this right here. This is Protandim NRF2. It is a synergistic blend of 5 herbs in perfect synergy. These 5 herbs have been studied in this perfect ratio. Why it's important that it's in this perfect ratio is, let me just give you an analogy. If you were going to mix eggs and a little bit of flour together and maybe a touch of milk, you might get an omelet. But if you do a little less eggs and more flour and maybe no milk, you might get a cake. Same ingredients, different ratio, different results. So it's nice to take turmeric, ashwagandha, milk thistle, green tea, and bacopa just for their own properties. But when they were combined in this perfect synergistic blend, they turn on a pathway in your body called the NRF2 pathway, fancy name, nuclear erythroid factor 2. And it is a pathway that is basically a fire hose of antioxidants in your body. So more powerful than taking antioxidants, it helps you make your own body's inner antioxidants, like glutathione, which you might have heard of. Glutathione is very depleted in people who are suffering illnesses of any kind. You could look up glutathione deficiency and our current situation, and that is about what I can say there. But so much more than that, turning on all the fire hose and sprinkler system in every room of your house. It's patent protected, it's backed by independent peer-reviewed science. And while we make no claims or cure of any treatment or anything like that, this single product has changed our life so dramatically in so many ways. And I will say that, like, I have been practicing since the very beginning of COVID, and my children have, they've been interacting with other children, not a ton, but enough. And no one's sick. And I believe it's partially due to our lifestyle and partially due to the fact that we have been turning on our own body's antioxidants for over 5 years now, much more powerful than taking them. Next is mitochondrial support, NRF1. And NRF1 is basically, it's another factor, which I can't actually remember the name of right now, but I will tell you that it is to make the powerhouse of our cells, the engine in our body. And it has been a game changer for some people, more so when it was combined than when it was than NRF2 by itself. NRF1 has grapeseed extract and pulp. It has L-carnitine. It has quercetin, also popular right now, and alpha lipoic acid and CoQ10. And when it was combined in a perfect synergy, it makes mitochondria and supports the regeneration of old mitochondria. And if you look up all the things that are happening these days with young kids, especially, I don't know if anybody has a teenager at home who slouches all the time, or like kids who are like floppy, or they seem to not be able to hold themselves up, or maybe they don't have good appetite or too good of an appetite, or they're anxious, maybe they're not sleeping well. When you help the body's support of the NRF1 or the mitochondrial support, it makes a big difference. When we added this for our firstborn, it was a game changer. He had had trouble gaining weight, and he was really stuck for a while. And this helped him tremendously. And one of the issues with flight or fight and all the potential hazards of a COVID classroom are things such as this. Also, omegas. Hopefully everybody's heard of DHA. and EPA. The DHA is the brain food part of omegas. And there's a whole lot I can talk about with omegas, but omegas are considered brain food. And they're not all created equally. This particular one made through the same company that makes the Protandim NRF2 and NRF1, the one that we're affiliated with in this group, and the person who added you, that's the person to speak with. So if you are interested in all that, we'll give you a name for what it's called, and so you can ask for more information. My kids are 7 and 9, just to give you an idea, and I have been giving them all of this since they were 2 and 4. So you don't have to have a specific issue to take this. It just helps you function better, and we need all the leverage we can get right now. But here's what's key about this is it tastes like lemon lime. It doesn't taste bad at all. And if your fish oil smells bad or tastes bad, it's bad. This is traceable boat to bottle. And it says 3 for an adult. I give my kids 3, sometimes 4, and upwards of sometimes 400 or 500 milligrams of DHA, because it's a healthy fat for the brain, essential fatty acids. Very important for immune support. Also, I'm going to have another one because they taste good. Also, our brains are made up of fat, mostly. I think we should be feeding it what it's made up of. So it's very protective for us. And then lastly, a probiotic. For the first couple of years, my kids could not actually swallow these. Sometimes we take these, sometimes they alternate with a variety of different brands. I like to alternate probiotics frequently. But this probiotic is completely covered in a protective coating, not requiring to be refrigerated, gets down to where it needs to in the small intestine. And probiotics help keep your body moving. And we should be having 3 bowel movements a day. Yes, once every 8 hours after you eat. And keeping moving helps us to detoxify with all the stuff that we're exposed to these days. So that's super, super important and helps support the immune system, because there's Wellmune and BioTract. Wellmune will stimulate the immune system to make more protective organisms. So those are the main biohacks that I recommend for in-person learning. I think you also will need to have contacts for your school's counselor. Maybe you have a mental health professional that you work with, or maybe a parish priest, or a rabbi, or somebody who can support you spiritually during this time. Also, OT, chiropractor. These people will be necessary support, as a lot of things will be like more ADD, ADHD oriented. And then detox baths. I can put a recipe for detox baths in. If you want the recipe for detox baths, write detox bath below. And turn off your Wi-Fi at night. We have been doing it for a few years. It really helps. Now, virtually learning at home, the name for the biohacks that I mentioned, these guys, is called the Vitality Stack. We have other products that are really key and really important. I really like them. But those are the biohacks, and they're called the Vitality Stack. So if you are interested in learning more about the Vitality Stack, write Vitality below, and the person who added you to this group can get you more information on the individual products in there. And I'm happy to talk with you also, not a problem. We'll have to schedule that, but I'm happy to talk with you. So for at home, virtual learning, there's a couple of extra things that I want us to consider. All of our phones and anything that we're using and tablets have radiation protection devices, like a safe sleeve or a defender shield. We also have R2Ls. I'm not affiliated with any of these companies, but these are the ones I've done research on. R2L, it's radiation to light. It basically diffuses 70% of the radiation into light, and it fixes on the back of your phone, and it doesn't affect the case, doesn't affect the beauty of it. Nobody sees anything. And it just, if you do the research on the EMFs and what they do to the brain, we need glutathione to help deal with that EMF, DNA bondage breaking, and radiation blocking devices. Another one that I use, I'm going to take it out from underneath my computer right now. And this one, we're buying a separate one for our son for virtual learning, is like some sort of radiation blocking or tablet, like a thing to put on a tablet. It keeps it cool and also blocks the radiation. They're about 75 to 100 bucks. They're not super, super cheap, but I think totally worth it. And they have blankets. Some of the top companies, in my opinion, are Safe Sleeve and Defender Shield. So those are the ones that I like. I also recommended, I alluded to before, wired earbuds. We have a couple of different types of earphones at home. These are on sale right now, like Target, for $9.99, and they were $25 before. We got a different one that also has a little microphone and more cushioning, but it has a wire. And you have to like work hard to find wired things, but Bluetooth and wireless is more radiation to your child's head or to your head. Nobody wants to hear that, but those Bluetooths and all that stuff and the things hanging around your neck. And if you've got your phone anywhere near your body while you're doing that, you're basically making a circuit. So thumbs down on that. I use tons of wired earbuds. If you want to go all out, Safe Sleeve and a couple of other companies make earbuds. They have tubes that decrease the amount of exposure with like air, like an air tube. So those earbuds that are like hanging out in the ear, no bueno. There are kid ones too, like Kids Gear makes one. There's a lot of different kinds out there. You want to make sure that it's comfortable and it fits them. And one of my top things would be blue light blockers. We use Zennies. We also have gotten some kid blocks, and I have some LiveHo. These are a little tiny for my head, but you can see the reflection of the blue light there. Radiation to light blockers. And we were informing our son earlier that even though he doesn't love wearing glasses, that he is going to be wearing these the entire time that he's on there. Why? Because our melatonin, many reasons, but our melatonin is also disrupted by using screens, and that affects our ability to fall asleep at night. And we need it to be able to fall asleep. And just taking melatonin isn't a great idea. So blue light blockers, you can Google top blue light blockers and that'll come up. Another great one is Swannies. They're pretty expensive, and you can get them for the different parts of the day. All the other biohacks, we do the vitality stack for the kids, extra magnesium if they're at home. Gosh, there's so much stuff that I have here, even some vitamin C and so forth. But one thing that we do like for concentration, I don't know about you, but concentration on a laptop for more than even an hour or two for me is nearly impossible. As a grown adult with high function, I can barely do it. So I use a nootropic that our company also makes. It's called Axio. There are 3 caffeinated flavors, 1 decaf. The caffeinated ones I tend to like the most because of the fact that it has DMAE, which can help take us out of that flight or fight, because it helps increase the availability of some of the brain chemicals we need to calm our nervous system down. So I really like it. But all the other ingredients like quercetin, B12, magnesium, pine bark extract, and also theanine, which helps calm us down. Green tea, so really delicious and yummy. And you put it in some water and shake it up. My kiddo loves this. We don't do it every day for him because he actually focuses really well without it. But when we need to get down and dirty and do some like concentrated work, like some of the homework we're doing to turn in after summer, is having an Axio. So if you are interested in that nootropic, which is like a healthy brain chemical, brain food juice is what we call it, like my happy juice, write Axio, AXIO below, and the person who added you to this group can also introduce you to that. can get you some samples if you absolutely want to try it. I'll help you get some of those as well. So in essence, just to recap, vitamins A, D, C, those are really important. Zinc, probiotics, fish oil, NRF2 and NRF1, and a nootropic, as well as sunshine, exercise, frequent movement breaks, chiropractic for postural support and immune support, as well as basically making sure you're doing what you can to mitigate the effects by blocking radiation, using, basically using your the tablets the way they're supposed to be used. Don't be putting everything on your waist and on your, like what we say in our house, not on your doodads. So I hope that has been really helpful. Hopefully I didn't miss anything too significant. And thanks for understanding the way I did my visual presentation. I really wanted to do like pretty infographics, but we'll get you all that information. And I hope that's helped. And yeah. Everybody have a good and peaceful back to school. Remember, whatever you choose as a parent, good for you. Nobody can make you feel bad about that. You make the right decision for your family, and don't let anybody make you feel bad for that. So I hope that helped. Okay, bye everybody.